Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to make sure you know all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on all new episodes of Wade's World, Boob Windows and Long Boxes, our Hard R movie reviews, and so much more, all completely uncensored. Access starts for as little as $1 a month, full videos when you pledge $3 a month. Check us out at the link in all of our show notes, or just go straight to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. Hello, dear listeners. Are you listening? That is a good thing because it's super connectivity. And tonight we will be connecting everything as superbly as we can. I am your host, of course, Charlie the Professor Esser. And with me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber from the Burger Pits.
Phil, me, and Perich.
Welcome, Philip.
Thank you.
This world is made brighter, for it has been seen by your eyes. Just know that. Okay. You okay, little one? Okay. It's, you go for a run. Sometimes the ground doesn't cooperate, and you have to understand that. The walking upright, it's still a relatively new thing for our species. And every so often, that old nemesis gravity reaches and pulls you back down.
Gravity's a bitch.
Gravity. Because that is the angels and the devils keeping you where you're meant to be. Not amongst the stars, they say, you belong in the dirt. But man says, no, devils nor angels shall keep me from my destiny. And so we stand and look high into the night and say, soon you will be mine. We are going to space. More and more people every day are going to space.
Thank you for that, not sir.
Well, we might go to space because as of today, as of right now,
anyone can go now.
You can go to space. The oldest man ever, 90 years old, 90 years young. A spry young fella by the name of Billy Shatner. A spry young 90-year-old Canadian sat upon a chair, as he had done so many times, and looked out into the infinite. And I would like to congratulate William Shatner on making this historic moment. Historic because he is of the class of people who, I suggest, we shall forever call rocket men, rocket women, rocket people, rocket association that you so desire, because he is not an astronaut. And there is a great deal of controversy and uproariousness about this question.
George Takei, is that you?
Here's what I will say. The entire purpose of Blue Origin was to make a world where you didn't have to be an astronaut to go into space. That anyone should be able to go into space. It does not require months of training, peak physical conditioning, a lifetime of dedication to this difficult and hard art of being in space. We have reached, as the original scientists of the early space missions wanted, a time when humans could be simply ballast. And you can laugh and chuckle, but really, that was the idea all along. Not everyone is a world-grade test pilot, but everyone should be able to go to the stars. And to say that now, non-astronauts, people who will not be astronauts because they are not doing scientific astronaut stuff. They're not flying anything. They're just sitting there, going up and coming down, as we all one day dream of doing. That's the thing. I mean, sure, I might imagine someday I could fly a Piper Cub and have my pilot's license and go up and go down like that. But generally speaking, if I'm going to fly somewhere, I'm going to get on a plane. I don't need to be a pilot just to fly. I don't want to have to be a pilot just so I can fly. Because sometimes I want to get on a plane and have someone bring me drinks as I sit and watch a 90-minute version of some 4-hour movie, because it's enjoyable to just do that thing. And I want to get to some place. And that is what Blue Origin opens up. It opens up a world of rocket men and rocket women and rocket people to slip the surly bonds of Earth and touch the sky. And someday they may even touch a little further. Because that's the idea, is we want to get beyond the edge of space and go somewhere important. Either go to the edge of space and then land somewhere else than where you took off. Which is, to be fair, what Branson is doing. Branson's space plane goes up and lands somewhere else. So that you could arguably have that hypersonic flight and that space plane flight that people have long dreamed of. Although I think the basic problem that you hit with the space plane is that there's nowhere on Earth that is far enough away that it's not shorter to just fly there in the other direction. So it's like you get into that orbit, and yes, you have the Earth turning to double your speed effectively, but at a certain point, you're just going to come back around, and you'll be landing in a spot that would have actually been closer to fly to, just in the other direction. So that's the basic problem with commercial spaceflight, is we don't have anywhere to go yet. But right now, that's the thing for me. It's like that William Shatner is going up and flying into space is a great moment in history because, like Jeff Bezos before him, he was completely unqualified to go into space. And yet he did, because he had a seat that he didn't have to pay for.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. This was actually the first time that they actually made money on one of these flights. This was the first time that two schmucks actually paid money to go on a Blue Origin flight. Now, granted, they got to go up with William Shatner. So I'm imagining that's a selling point. It's like, well, I went up. I've met William Shatner. I have actually met William Shatner in space. Now, whether or not that was worth the $250,000 they spent for it, I don't know.
Well, is that going to be a selling point now too? If you can get celebrities on those flights, it's like,
oh yeah, well,
spend money to go into space, but you get to go into space with a celebrity.
Yeah, I mean, for real. I mean, hey, George Takei. George Takei does many things, but I'm sure he would be happy to go into space.
Oh, I'm sure he would.
I will happily do the 6:00 show, once a week. Yes. 2 people will pay $250,000 and you'll shoot me up to space,
Oh, I'm sure they can.
Let me get my beak wet on that, and we'll call it a day. I'll sign some autographs in space.
I'm sure he could sit at a fake control panel, and Bezos can say warp factor 3, and he could say, "Aye, aye, sir."
Yeah, and for what it's worth, Koenig would like to. I mean, freaking, you got, and you have the entire Next Generation staff ready and willing to go up into space.
Seriously, why Shatner, man? Get Patrick Stewart in the chair to say, engage.
Oh, yeah. And, that's the thing, is I'm sure they all would love it. I would love to go to space.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to go to the edge of space and say, oh, look, space. Oh, look, the Earth actually is round. Look at that.
Suck it, it's round.
To be fair, even Columbus figured that out, and that guy's an idiot. We just had Columbus Day, Philip. I don't know if you knew that.
I know. You mean Indigenous Peoples Day? Yes.
Indigenous Peoples Day here in Newark, yes. But, well, actually, officially now it is also Indigenous Peoples Day, as Biden has declared it, which is fine. Although it's not the legal holiday, officially is still Columbus Day. But, that's the problem with Columbus, you see. As a kid, I was raised with the legend of like a wrong way Feldman kind of Christopher Columbus, where he didn't know where he was going and just lucked into finding America, and a funny character. And that's the origin mythos that Washington Irving wanted us to have. Some queen sold her jewels to send this crazy little Italian off into the big blue beyond, and he found what he said was America, and so it became America. And there we go. That's our little origin story. Don't ask too many questions. But because it's based on a real human being, questions get asked, issues get raised. There is controversy, Phil. Because as it turns out, even by the time, the morals of the time, Christopher Columbus was a pretty awful human being. So that's why. Sorry, Italian Americans. You have many other Italian Americans to honor, even some actual freaking saints. So maybe we should have some Italian saints, the way the Irish have a nice beloved saint who drives snakes out of Ireland. And, that's the advantage of St. Patrick, is he's kind of a character of legend at this point. And whether or not you want to say there's some darker motivation in his existence, that's just your own myth that you're creating for the character, because the character has already told his story. And all the stories we write of them now don't have contemporaneous, words. Christopher Columbus has contemporaneous records that he wrote himself that are pretty danging. So, yeah. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day, Philip.
Thank you.
Okay. And that is all about exploration that I have to go on. What else is going on in the world today? I really didn't watch Stargirl this week because I was very tired when I was watching it. I watched like half of it. Okay. And I know at the end, I guess there was some sort of a betrayal. And, I know that there was this whole thing about, because the first half of it I really enjoyed, which is about the fact that, the Justice Society killed the guy.
Bruce Gordon, yeah.
Bruce Gordon. And the fact that, that really struck them, because it was the thing. It was the line they were never supposed to cross, and then they just crossed it. And, that is the point, that you have to have a moral line you don't cross.
And at the end, Courtney was dragged down in that hole by Calypso, just like, what's his face is
Dr. Midnighter, or
no, the Dragon King's daughter.
So they're gonna team up next episode.
Yeah, because in the preview they're like it looks like a idealized like 50s version of the town, because everything's even in black and white. And
yeah. Well, to be fair, that is a place of hatred and villainy. So
yeah, I mean,
under that veneer of perfect life,
like segregation. Yeah.
No, trust me, I've heard Icicle's parents talk. So I've watched I've watched up to this point. Yeah. So, and that's the thing, is like, I have these spots in the story. So that's good. Of course, the show is called Stargirl. So unless they give Bethany the Star Staff next, and she just becomes the whole Justice League just by herself, which I am here for, by the way. I always love it when you have that one obscure character at the end of the apocalyptic story, and they've just got everybody's weapons left, and they're just like, I'm the last one, but I got it all, and I'm still standing, I'm still going to fight you. And, you know who that reminds me of, Philip?
Who?
The star of Iron Man, what is this? Iron Man
13.
13. The greatest hero this world ever knew. You know who I'm talking about, Philip. The greatest champion of the earth. The one hero with more guts, more glory, more dedication to saving this universe than any other hero ever was.
Frogman.
Frogman. The man who saved the universe, Philip. who said, "Oh, you can't take on Korvac," and he was like, "Watch me, hold my flies." And honestly, everyone in this, except of course Stark, but uh,
Oh yeah,
Ben Reilly's last appearance at Scarlet Spider Kids. This is before the Beyond Corporation says, "Hey, you want to make some money, kid?"
exactly.
But no, that is actually my favorite aspect of this, is that even as he's going in there, even as he attacks Korvac head on, it was like, you can't face Korvac. It's like, why not? Because see, and it's Korvac he kicks.
Uh-huh.
He kicks Korvac down. He says, "You say I can't. I say I can. I've got hydraulic springs, man." And that's the thing. Korvac doesn't have any powers yet. He's just got other guys doing his henchman stuff.
Yeah.
He has no powers. He's a guy with a steel plate in his head. That's all he is. And that's why Frogman is awesome, because he looks at the situation and looks at it with real eyes. He's not thinking of all the time Korvac had unlimited power. It reminds me of when Thanos goes up against God Emperor Doom, and he's like, "You cannot defeat me. I am the mighty Thanos. I have wielded the Infinity Stones." And Doom's like, "Do you have those stones now?" It's like, "No." It's like, "Well, then I think you overestimated your stance." And then, proceeds to remove his skull and spine from his body. Because he's freaking God Emperor Doom. And you're just a guy who used to be a supervillain. And that is all Korvac is in this. He's a guy who used to be a supervillain.
Hmm.
And so the fact that Frogman saves the day, that is, to me, the thing that makes this thing. And of course, yeah, we got Misty Knight doing her thing. She's pretty awesome. We got Hellcat. We've got a Gargoyle who breaks his specs, sadly. I almost feel bad that Ben Reilly's here. Because, yes, he is the also ran Spider-Man, although now he is the Spider-Man, but it's like, it's like when he's getting outclassed by Frogman.
Well,
maybe that's why the Beyond Corporation kind of like, "Hey, you had a couple of rough days, kid. Let's see if we can help." The end, though. The end, Philip.
yes.
Where to keep Korvac from getting the power cosmic, Iron. And here's the thing: I kind of get the feeling like Galactus is going to come home and what the heck? I was away for 1 week, man. I was in Barbados. What is you people's problems?
Literally, you come home, someone's throwing a party in your house, and some drunk has touched your stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, someone touched my freaking power cosmic. He's probably visiting his daughter, who is very sweet. If you ever met Galacta, if you ever read her story, she's actually a delight. She's the daughter of Galactus. She lives on Earth. There's a lot of ways you can read her story. Is she a eating disorder positive character, or is she just a character who is a cosmic being that has to deal with the fact that she must consume life, but also wants to preserve life that should be in places, so she tends to eat invasive species and spatial organisms, but she's always so hungry because she inherited her father's hunger. It exists. It's in Marvel canon. Don't at me, bros. Just like when D-Man served in Afghanistan. Oh, sorry, no, he served in Iraq. D-Man served in Iraq. Yeah. It is canon. It is part of his history, even if they don't mention it as much as they should. Because Assistant Editors Month is still a real canonical month of the year. But where was I with this? I don't know. What did you think of this episode, Phil?
It was interesting, and it's just like, oh no, Tony. So this is how Tony Stark's gonna heal himself, right? With this cosmic power, because he's basically dying, his brain's bleeding, and
well, we see we see the next Alex Ross cover. Alex Ross has got to be making a lot of money on these covers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear it for Bob Ross's cousin. I'm just starting that rumor now.
Tony Stark's going big next month, kid.
Yeah, he's the Silverman. Silverman. Oh gosh, that's a fun. There's a great short story about the Amazing Silverman. A guy who tries to kill himself and realizes he can fly, and he just never knew because he never took a jump before. But then he realizes it's amazing. I have this power to fly, but I'm now an old man. And what can I do with this? It's like I can fly. And if I could have been the Amazing Silverman in my youth, if I had ever taken a risk in my youth, I might have discovered this. But now I am old, and what shall I do? The Amazing Silverman. It's a great story. I heard it on Selectric Shorts. I don't know if it was called The Amazing Silverman, but I know that was one of the lines in it, or it was something, but like because his last name was Silverman. And, he's this old guy, and he goes to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge. And as he's falling, he puts out his arms, and suddenly he swoops up. And he realizes he can fly. And his mind goes to this moment where he's dreaming of all the things he could have done. But then he gets tired because flapping his arms is very hard. And he sits down on the bridge, and he realizes he's too old for flying now. Because that's the kind of stories we write in New York City, buddy. Okay, Philip, do you have a book you want to talk about?
Yeah, let's talk about Avengers 49.
Oh, love this book. You know why I love this book, Philip?
Why?
Because She-Hulk was playing him the whole time.
I know, but wasn't that a big gamble that it's like, okay, we're betting the Russians can't break this gamma-powered being? I mean...
Phil, just think about what you just said.
Yes.
This ain't Bruce Banner, who always had a bifurcated brain, who, freaking Maynard could look at my fancy disc, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you just be a professor for once? It's like, okay, I'll be professor now. That works. No, this is freaking Jen Walters She-Hulk.
That's true.
Who has an didactic memory, who has memorized things, is already a Hulk, knows she can kill all these people. Who knows, quite frankly, quite honestly, she's not in with them. They're in with her. And that's the thing. And they know, that's what we get in this dialogue going back is, that the Dor Milaje, like their intel says, basically Russia's trying to destabilize Atlantis, similar to the way that actually Latveria destabilized Wakanda not that long ago. So no wonder how they knew what to look for. And here's the thing. Here's a fun thing. This is a deep dive Hulk callback if you know what you're looking at. When she takes off the breathing apparatus. Do you know why she takes off the breathing apparatus, Philip?
Why?
Because Hulks can breathe underwater. They only held their breath because they thought they couldn't.
Oh.
That's a Peter David bit. You remember it now that I mentioned it.
Yeah.
When he was like, wait a minute. I've been down there so long and I'm talking. Wait, am I breathing? I just totally forgot I was breathing.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, and then we got Thor bringing in the underwater lightning. Don't question it, kids.
It's magic.
It's magic lightning.
It's literal magic.
Well, although to be fair, lightning does act weird. So I'm not going to say that it doesn't occur that lightning can go, because that's actually an interesting thing about lightning that people don't know. We always think about lightning comes from the sky. Often it actually comes up from the crust to the sky. It doesn't actually come down. It's actually just electromagnetic buildups in the Earth's crust shooting upward because there's a significant enough negative charge or positive charge above it to pull up lightning from the ground. So Lightning literally is magic, Philip. People don't know that all the time, but it's true. It does not always behave by the laws we expect it to do. The Russians are going to drop a gamma bomb on Atlantis, which, here's the thing about gamma bombs, Phil. They have a really high rate of creating superpowered monsters.
Yeah.
Like in like a ton of 5,000, you might get 4 gamma powered monsters. But we're gonna drop it on, first off, an entire city of superhumans who, for all we know, eat gamma for breakfast. Like, what was their thinking that somehow dropping a gamma bomb on Atlantis, aside from poisoning a lot of the ocean, isn't just going to create an army of gamma-powered Atlanteans that can now breathe air, because we already know Hulks can breathe water.
And let's say you kill most of the people down there. Like, Thor's probably going to survive. Do you really want to piss Thor off that way?
Oh yeah, you know. I do like when they're listing the war crimes of Perun and Chernobog. I like how they do cross over various different like periods of Russian history, showing that they're not loyal to the politics. They're just there to kill whoever is fighting them. Which makes sense for Chernobog. Perun, I got to think, was a more merciful god, but that's just my assumption. We do get, of course, now we have our gamma-powered Red Widow with knockoff super soldier serum, which is probably Black Widow wolf spider serum or something like that.
Something.
But, you know, the gamma is reacting with her. So maybe, but I guess but you know, that's the thing, is I was wondering, are we actually going to get like a longer World War She-Hulk thing? It's like, no, next episode's the end of the World War She-Hulk story. So we'll get a resolution to it, whatever it's going to be. But I love this episode.
I see a college dropout on the cover of next issue.
Yeah. Although, man, that is some throwback artwork, don't you think? Doesn't that look like something?
Yeah, the floating heads. Yes.
Yeah, it's like, it seems I like it. I like.
Yeah.
You see, his hands are all bandaged.
Mm-hmm.
It's some old school Doom bandaged hands.
Well,
I don't know what's going on with that.
I don't know if that's going to be the start of the next arc too, and I think we're doing like characters from the multiverse and stuff. So that might not be our college dropouts. That might be from another universe.
Might be the one where he graduated and Doom's a hero. My favorite story of Dr. Doom. The one where he said, let me just see if this Richard guy has anything to really say. And
maybe he pulls a Doctor Strange and blows his hands off instead of his face.
Yeah, that could be it too. That's another universe.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one where Doctor Strange or Dr. Doom becomes the Sorcerer Supreme, and then he just uses the little rewrite everyone's brain to be Dr. Doom machine to make sure that the Sorcerer Supreme is always Dr. Doom. Because he just kidnaps Doctor Strange and then just rewrites his brain to have all of the knowledge of the mystic arts. It's a great ending. It's a fun book.
But no, I like that cover for 50. Yeah, very throwback. I love. We need more floating heads. Come on.
It's preaching to the choir, Phil. Preaching to the choir.
I know.
You want to talk Cain the Conqueror, issue 3?
Sure. Tell me about it.
Cain the Conqueror, issue 3. Only myself left to conquer. I don't know if this is the end of it or if this is there's another one after this, but so in this one it's effectively Iron Lad Kang makes a deal with Apocalypse to go hunt down Kang. You know, to kill the right Kang who caused the problems. So he can go back in time and then do his own thing. And he then, as he says, he does the one thing that Kangs never do. He takes the long way around. Because he knows when Kang's going to attack the Avengers. He knows when he can meet this Kang. but in order to do so, he has to go into like a sarcophagus and then absorb all the knowledge of the world while he's in that sarcophagus waiting for Cain to attack. And then when Cain does attack, of course, attacking the Avengers, we get that great first appearance of Cain story. It's funny because when he breaks into Kang's ship, guess who else broke into Kang's ship?
Uh-oh.
That college dropout Doom.
Of course.
It's delightful, and this is a Doom. This is another time displaced. This is just one more time displaced Doom, which makes me think. You know what? There's probably like a lot of time displaced Dooms out there.
He just seeded himself through time. You know that.
Yeah, and it's just this idea that he's going to destroy Kang now for a reason, but the Kang and young Kang say, you know what? He's the one who's not a king. Maybe we should kill him. And he defeats him, but then young Kang defeats old Kang, and then uses his ship to go back and become Ramatut to be thwarted by the Fantastic Four, so that he could send Ravonna somewhere else so she's not destroyed. But then when he goes to return to her, now she's evil, as you do. So Ravonna Renslayer, the first Moon Knight in this series. She's coming back, baby. Nice. Moon Knight Ray, you're missing the best Moon Knight. Ravonna Renslayer, the Moon Knight of Time. Look into it. You'll love it. Give me one, Phil.
Here, let me pull this out here. Symbiote Spider-Man Crossroads #4.
Yay! What happens?
Well, again, I mean, Spider-Man and the Hulk are jumping through portals. Hulk still has one of those Infinity Stones strapped to his head. So, of course, you know, it's dark, evil entity. Call me Brian, you know.
Oh, gods.
And, of course, since we have movies coming, who do they run into? Deviants and Eternals.
Oh, well, you know, those are nice. You know, that's my biggest complaint about this new Eternals series, is it seems like they're going to be playing the Deviants as mindless monsters. And I don't think they were. I think they were a society, you know, of monsters, but they were a society of monsters, you know, and making them just be, you know, I think that might be the twist at the end, is that it's like the Deviants aren't the enemy. They're just another version of humanity. They're the infinite mutation that humanity might take. The infinite mutation that humanity might take, Phil, because humans and deviants both, or Eternals and deviants both derived from humans. And that's the big mystery that will be revealed, that it wasn't about these two things. These were just the two opposite ends. What if humanity followed this line of arguable perfection of form, and what if it went into complete chaos of form, much like the Skrulls? And we do see in Skrull religion, you have the eternal Skrull and the constantly changing Skrull, who of course are wed, much the way that, you know, Crow and, is it Athena who have a relationship in the Eternals?
I think so.
Yeah, so, you know, there's a lot going on here, Phil.
Oh, yeah.
A lot to be seen in this new Eternals film.
I wonder what they're going to be doing, because I thought I saw, who was it, the director or somebody was saying it's going to be more Kirby than some of the later Eternal stuff. So,
yeah, well, that's interesting. That's mostly interesting because Kirby never created the Eternals to be in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, it kind of like thing. Yeah,
it was kind of like his own. It was basically, he basically pitched them Fourth World.
Oh yeah,
he said, sure, make us a Fourth World, and he probably never wanted Fourth World to meet Superman either. But like, dude, you're making us comic books. You're going to meet Superman.
Do some new gods.
And he probably got mad about that, and then he got mad, and that because that was the thing, is like Thanos originally wasn't an Eternal. But if you actually go into Thanos' origins, you realize that because he's from a world of purple people. But he had a butt chin, and that's how you knew he was evil. Couldn't draw a goatee, but we're going to give him that weird little facial thing on his chin to denote that he was evil. And then they got a whole thing, and then they do the whole thing about Zuros and Eros and traveling to Titan. As you do, Philip, as you do.
That's right.
Anyway. So anyway, your symbiote Spider-Man meets the Eternals.
Yeah, and again, like I said, movies. I mean, Doctor Strange has been in this thing the whole time, trying to like track down Spider-Man. And again, I don't know if they like making Peter David do this, because like even in the last series they did, Kang was in the last one, so I was like, it's like, are they making him?
I mean, I think he likes writing the stories.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I don't think Peter David is just looking for. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe the guy has a gambling problem. You know? Hey, for those who know, that's why Celine Dion wound up playing a lot of shows in Vegas, because her husband liked to play the long shots. And hey, he wound up with Celine Dion. So you know what? Sometimes long shots pay off. Just gonna say it, you know? Man has honest reason to think long shots pay off. So
Hey, a few years ago, Tyler and I met Dean Cain at the convention near here, and he was honest. He was like, "Yeah, he's like, my son's going to college, you know, so hey, he's paying for his kid's college education."
Well, exactly, you know, and for what it's worth, you know, it's great, you know. But you know, like I said, I don't think they're making him do anything. He's a professional writer. He's a professional comic book writer. I mean, they may like probably what they say. Oh, here's stuff that we think is coming up. We want to do anything with any of these guys? And you say, oh yeah, I'll do something with this guy. Like I think he's the one who says, like they show him, it's like, oh, here's some villains you can use. He says, oh, I got a good Kang story, or oh, I got a good Deviant story.
Yeah,
you know. So how does he treat the Deviants? Are they just mindless monsters in this, or do they have souls?
no, I mean a lot of this is like punch them up. No, they're actually like devious. I mean, Crow is like trying to get that stone off. He wants the stone off Hulk.
Well, devious is one. Being devious and being a monster are two very different things.
Yeah, no. I mean, they're not mindless monsters. Yeah, they're actually. Yeah.
They're not like just dragons. You know, they're just not just. You know, that's the thing. Is like all these characters. You know, if they speak, they must have motivation.
Yeah.
It's like in Shang-Chi. You know, that monster clearly had a purpose, had a mind, had a direction. Maybe it was an evil mind, but at least it was a mind. And maybe we should think about what that means more.
But yeah, at the end, Hulk gets freed from that stone. But yeah, Carnilla, the Norn Queen, grabs that stone, and see her Spider-Man, Hulk, and Icarus Icarus down there, and she's like, "Oh, now I have enough power to challenge Odin himself."
Yay! Which stone was that? The Mind Stone?
I believe it may. I think it is, but yeah, some of the characters in this are calling it like the Matrix Stone or whatever. So,
it could just be one of those secondary stones. They've got like several of, including the Norn stones.
yeah,
as Logan would say, they're like the fourth most powerful group of stones in this universe. Come on, I can make a snow golem with them. A perfectly logical Frosty the Snowman. So my last book this week is Shang-Chi #5. Where, man, if you wanted evidence of the Illuminati was a bad idea, this is the book that basically says, oh yeah, that's right, the Illuminati is a bad idea. Because they're super sure of themselves, even as they're doing the exact same thing that they're wondering if Shang-Chi is doing. So the whole plotline of this is, oh, the Red Dot who is apparently some great little villains we've just created who are tech villains. The Red Dot has captured a briefcase of the infamous of Iron Man. You know, it's your classic. It's the old Silver Centurion armor in the briefcase. It's a lot of fun, but basically, you know, and they're all like super, like they all have like cybernetic things, so like their hands become guns. But of course, you know, Shang-Chi is faster because that's the gag. They even have him catch a bullet in his teeth. As you do when you're a kung fu master.
That old gag, yeah.
Because what's the greatest superpower, Phil?
Kung fu.
Kung fu. Kung fu. It's the one thing that can defeat anyone. Greatest supervillain power is hypnosis. Greatest superhero power is kung fu. If you have kung fu or master hypnosis, you are a threat. It is just that simple.
Exactly.
Because, freaking the ringmaster could hypnotize Galactus if he had to. And Shang-Chi could just punch him. And punch him hard in just the right place. And Galactus is going to say, dude, let me be the both of yous. I don't even want to eat your stupid world anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, but, so in this one, the red dot, because they were testing whether or not the Five Weapon Society had turned. Well, their story is, we were testing to see if the rumors are true that you had gone soft and were trying to do good now. So they actually tricked Shang-Chi into capturing them so they could unleash the Iron Man armor. But then the Iron Man armor goes. Oh, and this is nice. We get a nice little scene with, of course, Shang-Chi's mom, and she's talking to the bugs. Because she spent, most of her life in the negative zone with all the bugs. It was less fun than you think. So she has a bunch of psychic connections. And then we get, speaking of movies, we get the whole thing about, I'm not from your dimension, son. It's like, oh, boy.
No.
Mama's crazy. Which is what he's thinking, but whether or not that's going to be the case, we'll see. But then we see Iron Man shows up. We get an awesome punch him up with Shang-Chi and Iron Man, where he's pulling out his adamantium nunchucks. This whole thing about, it's not a hand-to-hand combat, and then he knocks off Iron Man's glove and puts his Iron Man's glove on and says, now it is. Because as they say, it's, you can have a battle between spacemen and cavemen, but as soon as a spaceman drops his laser, it's a fair fight, And in this, it's so freaking awful. Captain of Bad Life Decisions, Tony Stark, is no, I can see you were trying to do right by us, yada, yada, yada. So I'm going to give you my word. I trust you. I'll tell the others. And then immediately he goes back to Reed Richards and Captain America. I'm no, he's totally lying. He's totally being evil. Even though I lied to find that out, I lied for a good cause. He couldn't possibly be lying for a good cause.
No.
So, yeah. And then we see that actually there's someone that has assembled all the enemies of that guy whose name is not Fu Manchu to get together to take down the House of Five Weapons. Because all of them have been hurt. Bum, bum, bum. So, obviously, that villain is manipulating everyone. And I don't think it'll have as good of a reveal as it was She-Hulk's plan all along by the end. Oh, we might get that. No, Shang-Chi totally knew the heroes wouldn't trust him. And, if one thing that my father taught me is they're always looking for a villain. Ooh, we're political now. That's my last book, Phil. Do you want to talk anything before we call it a night?
No, I'm good.
Well, great, Philip. Philip.
Yes, sir.
If people would like to talk to us about the wonderful world of comic books and mass media and what might come next, how can they find us?
The easiest way, you can always get a hold of us. Email us, capesandlunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And you can find all our social media, our YouTube channel, our Patreon, our merchandise, all of it's at Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics.
Wonderful. And Philip, if folks would like to write to me personally, directly, like a real child of the 80s, they can write me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our mothers and fathers once did, at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, Philip, at gmail.com. Of course, they can always follow me on that newfangled Twitter device as I live tweet things like Stargirl occasionally, or a few minutes of other things like that show with the Legends who are from tomorrow. At Charlie Esser, that's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz.
Before we drop out, I don't know if you saw it. They announced it today. Remember how Hawkeye is dropping the day before Thanksgiving?
Yes.
They're going to drop.
Oh, it's a double episode. Yes.
Yeah, because I guess that way it works out, because I guess the week of Christmas will be the last Hawkeye episode, because the last week of the year, the Book of Boba Fett starts.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, yeah, you don't want to oversaturate the market. I think Maz and I will still do 2 separate episodes, one for each.
Oh,
so we'll always be at least 1 episode behind, but we'll see what happens.
Wait, what?
Well, because we'll do 1 episode.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Of the first episode,
okay.
and then another episode of the second episode, and then we'll do the 3rd episode and the 4th episode.
Yeah.
Onward until Boba Fett starts. And of course, before that, we're going to do Dune.
Doo-doo?
At least that's our plan. I don't know. We'll see what happens, Philip. Philip, that's the whole show. Maz was on it because he said the ping and for quality, and now we got the music. So, Philip, I got to say goodnight.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Sleep tight.
Do not let the bed bugs bite unless they're radioactive.
Oh.
Then, to me, my bed bugs.
Great power, great responsibility.
You don't get extra powers, obviously.
Yeah.
They're all bedbug powers, but bedbugs are indestructible, so that's their shtick.
Indestructible, Charlie Esser.